Business Daily. In a globalizing world, ours is to keep you engaged, informed, and educated on contemporary happenings in the business world. We therefore command a special audience of business-minded viewers who are eager to know more about business. I mean, your business. Why don't you take advantage of our special affordable offer to let the world know about your concepts, your goods, and of course, your services? You can call us on 080-3071-6959 or 070-3234-9054. You can also visit us at Television Nigerian in Guzapi, Abuja, and follow us on all the social media handles on Facebook, YouTube, and of course, on Twitter at Television Nigerian. Your business is our concern. Nigeria is the largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa, but limitations in the power sector constrain growth. Nigeria is endowed with large oil, gas, hydro, and solar resources, and it already has the potential to generate 12,522 megawatts of electric power from existing plants, but most days it's only able to generate about 4,000 megawatts, which is insufficient. Nigeria has privatized its distribution companies, so there is a wide range of tariffs. Welcome to TV and Business Daily on Television Nigerian. I am Chiwendu Isisego, and today we shall be discussing on the impact of COVID-19 lockdown on electricity supply in Nigeria. But before we go into details, let's look at what is happening in the business world. Stay tuned. The number of idle power plants in the country rose by 2 to 8 on Tuesday, worsening the blackout experienced by many consumers. Total power generation fell to 2,983 megawatts as of 6 a.m. on Tuesday from 3,336.5 megawatts on Monday. The nation's 27 plants generated 4,191.8 megawatts as of 6 a.m. on Saturday, but their total output plateaued to 1,843.3 megawatts on Sunday. Data obtained from the Nigerian Electricity System Operator showed the plant that did not generate any megawatts of electricity on Tuesday were Sapele 2, Alauji 2, Alaushogo 2, Amotosho 2, Gabari, and IPP in Lorry. The outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic in Nigeria may result in a decline of 4.95 trillion naira in the nation's nominal gross domestic product in the present fiscal year, investigation has revealed. Nominal GDP measures the value of all finished goods and services produced by a country at their current market prices. However, the 4.95 trillion naira decline in nominal GDP is about 48.19% of the federal government's revised 10.27 trillion naira budget, adding that the pandemic has so far affected about 32 states and the Federal Capital Territory had led to unprecedented slump in global crude oil prices. It explained that Nigeria needed a major policy overhaul to reduce vulnerabilities, including widening account and budget deficits that had put the nation in jeopardy. Total funds raised by the private sector coalition against COVID-19 rose to 27.16 billion naira as of end of April 23, 2020. The Director of Corporate Communications, Central Bank of Nigeria, Isaac Okorafo, disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday. The statement revealed that donors into the fund included both corporate and private individuals. Recall that the CBN recently announced plans to raise about 120 billion naira to curb the coronavirus pandemic in the country. The CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele had said on behalf of the Bankers Committee and in partnership with the private sector led by Alinko Dangote Foundation and Access Bank, they had come together to from the COVID. Recently, the coalition disclosed that it had ordered 250,000 supplies for tests and another 150,000 extraction kits to increase its molecular testing as part of effort to contain coronavirus in the country. Following price gains recorded by most blue-chip stocks, the bulls sustained their hold on the equity sector of the Nigerian Stock Exchange on Wednesday, causing the all-share index to rise further by 0.62%. The all-share index increased by 140.53 absolute points, representing an increase of 0.62% to close at 22,868.40 points. Similarly, the market capitalization rose by 73 billion naira to close at 11.918 trillion naira. The uptrend was impacted by gains recorded in large and medium value stocks, among which were MTN Nigeria, UAC of Nigeria, Vitafoam Nigeria, and Lafarge Africa. Analysts at Afriverse Limited predicted that more corporate earnings releases would sharpen the direction of the market for the rest of the week. The total volume traded advanced by 4% to 277.429 million shares, worth 2.584 billion naira, traded in 4,464 deals. Transactions in the shares of FBN Holdings tapped the activity chart with 56.622 million shares valued at 256.858 million naira. And that's the business update on television Nigerian. I am Chirendu Osisogo, and now we shall be going on a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Thanks for staying with us. In case you're just joining, it's TVN Business Daily. Like I stated earlier, we shall be discussing on the impact of COVID-19 on electricity supply in the country. I have with me in the studio a public affairs analyst and head consult of GZB Consult, Mr. Tanko Dada. You're welcome to TVN Business.
Thank you very much.
And it's good to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, talking about the power generation, as on Saturday, it was 4,191.8 megawatts, and now it has come down to 2,968 on Tuesday. Looking at it, it's coming down gradually, and Nigerians are experiencing blackouts. So what do you think is responsible for this?
Well, globally, there is a drop in the supply and demand and supply of oil and goods that are related to it, and we're talking about gas.
Okay.
Nigeria generates about 83% of our electricity generation is from gas, that's thermal generation plants. And there's a global drop in the supply of gas worldwide.
Okay.
So that is the major reason for the drop in electricity generation in Nigeria. The hydro dams and plants, they just amount to about 20%, so they can't sustain the economy as it is right now.
So are you saying that Nigerians will continue to experience blackouts for now?
Yes, it might get worse because we depended heavily on thermal generation.
Okay.
Unlike other countries, South Africa, I think Ghana, they have other renewable sources of generating electricity. Nigeria just depends on hydro and thermal generation plants.
Okay, if you could recall vividly, at the beginning of this month, the discourse and the federal government aligned together to provide free electricity for Nigerians because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and this has not come into reality. So what do you think is the cause of this?
First of all, I'm not sure I expected them to be able to forecast what's happening presently, but I'm very sure they didn't even see this happening. They didn't see the extended coronavirus effect on the economy, on the supply of diesel, gas, and everything. So, first of all, there isn't much electricity to even distribute freely.
Okay.
And then, secondly, I don't even know how they were going to do that. They made a promise that, it's in our culture in Nigeria. Promises are made, promises are broken. But there was no way they were going to do that for 2 months without any injection from probably government or private investors. So I didn't hope on that.
Okay, but you know that due to this COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of people are advised to work from home. And you know, working from home requires you to use your laptop, use your gadgets, of course. And you know, this electricity, you don't have electricity. Everybody's complaining of lights to charge their phones, to charge their laptops. So how do you think they can survive in this period?
Nigerians never depended on um, the source of electricity from government alone. Sorry. We all, when you set up a business, everybody's looking at, while you talk about every other infrastructure, everybody has a standby generator. In fact, we're all looking at inverters, and those that can afford it have solar panels and all. So yes, it's going to get worse. Cost of operation would be relatively higher, but Nigerians have always survived. So you probably have to spend more money on buying petrol or diesel for your generating sets.
Okay, talking about, okay, before we go on a quick break, talking about those that are selling foodstuffs. You know, they've been allowed to sell foodstuff because, you know, everybody cannot do without food, and those selling drugs in their pharmacy. So how do you think they can actually sustain their business regarding getting to know that there's no electricity supply in the country?
The large majority of people selling foodstuff, people that fall into this industry, they are like market sellers, people on the streets, and they hardly or rarely depend on electricity to sell. Yes, to preserve for people that deal with frozen foods and everything, and maybe super malls, and then you said the drugstores. But just like I said before, majority of Nigerian businesses all have it in mind that you have to be ready to operate probably 80% on standby generating sets. So even if here it might, as we anticipate, it might keep on declining, but I think businesses are set for that. I have a printing press, and when I do my monthly estimate and calculation, I almost assume that there's not going to be any electricity supply.
Okay.
So when there is, well, we thank God. When there isn't, we are prepared for it.
Okay, let's quickly get the views of Nigerians on the impact of the COVID-19 on the electricity supply in their area. Stay with us.
My name is Kingsley Chukwuebuka. I reside at Koroduma One Man Village in Kalua government area of Nasarawa State. Based on the power supply during this COVID-19, if I must say, it has been very, very, very epileptic. The distribution agency are not trying any bit to help the citizens at home, having fully well known that there is no means of income during this time, and there's no way they will expect citizens to use the money to feed themselves to start paying for power supply, which I felt have an issue that the government have promised for them to give a 2 months free power supply. If I might say, it's high time we should beg the government, even though they want us to pay for those bills, that should at least accumulate it from now till whenever this lockdown comes up. At least even paying them in piecemeal will be very nice than them carrying ladder and start disconnecting people and leaving them in blackout.
Concerning electricity supply in our neighborhood, it has greatly improved since the arrival or the beginning of this pandemic, that's COVID-19. Prior to COVID-19, we were having electricity supply for 2 to 3 hours daily. But since COVID-19, our electricity supply has gone up to 10 hours daily, between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., sometimes 4 p.m., and between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. So it's improved. And concerning what the government should do, I think it's not good enough that up till now our major source of electricity is hydroelectricity power, that is via water through the Kainji Dam. I think we've grown past that. We should have numerous sources of electricity. We have abundance of gas in this country in the south. We have abundance of wind from the north, and we also have solar. We have natural sunlight, and I believe the government should look into these areas.
Actually, ever since the lockdown, I think the government generally they've put in work, they've put in effort. But I have to recommend them on this aspect. As you can see, you can say light as in then. I'm very excited. All like say Nigerians, they can't have light 24 hours straight. But I can boast that we've really had light, as in we've really had light for the past 2 weeks. I've barely used a fuel cost of 500 naira for the past 2 weeks. So I recommend them, and I really applaud them for that. Talking about the estimated bill, I think that was one of the issues we had in the past due to the estimated bill that they bring, and the rate at which they overhype these bills, and you find that you don't even have an AC. At the end of the day, they give you an outrageous bill. So, but we've worked towards that. We've complained, and we've written to the management, and they assured us of this prepared meter, and we've been expecting the prepared meter ever since then.
Hello, I'm Abiola. Okay, here is how COVID-19 has affected electricity in my area. First of all, we used to have very normal voltage, not until now. And secondly, the number in the hours of power supply has drastically dropped. Like there are days they just bring the light for 5-10 minutes, not even up to 30 minutes, and boom, the light is gone. And I'm one who works from home, who just want to get my phone charged, my laptop charged, so that's it basically. So we just hope the government look into these and make life easier and better for the people.
There have been no lights since morning. The time right now is going to be past 6. We will have no light since morning. It's sad, it's painful, it is heartbreaking. These people are actually not helping us. They do not want us to perform. Students, most people know that students do not want to engage in these online lectures. But the electricity distribution company actually are discouraging us. They are discouraging students, they are discouraging workers to work. People want to work, but they are being discouraged by the electricity distribution company, right? Because there is no enough power supply to actually charge these gadgets to do whatever they want to do. It is painful. They need to actually channel some kind of energy to the power supply they give us. It is heartbreaking to note that the power supply given to us is not up to 8 hours per day. In a day we have 24 hours and we are not getting 8 hours supply per day. That is very heartbreaking. This is what they need to work on. This is what they need to build. This is what they need to develop. It is sad.
Okay, welcome back. And in case you're just joining us, it's TVN Business, and you heard the views of Nigerians. What do you think? Most of them were commending the government, on the supply of electricity, and some of them were really, really angry with the electricity distribution companies.
Well, I would have loved to find out which part of Nigeria commends the electricity distribution company, because I, for one, I wouldn't say anything, but it's been quite terrible at my area. We heard the other guy talk about even academics being affected, because we have students being forced and cajoled to attend lectures online. We don't even have the electricity, and then I don't even want to talk about the standard of internet service providers this period. So a lot of things are really being affected, and the government isn't doing so much to make all of this right.
Okay, looking at the estimated billing, it's really, really occurring even at this period of the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of people are still going to ask for estimated billing. What do you have to say? Should it continue, or should government should put a stop to it?
I wonder why we're still operating estimated billing in a time like this, because everywhere globally people are doing things pay as you go, pay as you view, pay as anything. So the only advantage I would say that could accompany the estimated billing is if the government has a way to spread this bill over a period of time, because as one of the viewers stated, people aren't working and they're even making any source of income right now. So if my estimated bill is this, fine, no problem, and then this is how I'm going to keep on paying post-COVID-19 lockdown.
So finally, how do you see electricity post-lockdown? Do you think we're going to get better, or will just be where we are, or get worse?
I think it's just going to be same old. Yes, the gas supply is going to improve back to normal. We'll generate our usual 4,000 megawatts out of a 12,000 megawatt capacity generating plant nationwide. But even at the 12,000 megawatts nationwide, it's appalling. I mean, South Africa that has just about 67 million citizens generates about 48,000 megawatts. Okay. So I think if Nigeria has to generate electricity for everybody to smile, we're talking about over 180,000 megawatts. Probably my children would enjoy that.
Exactly. So finally, what's your final thought to people, your viewers, and of course to the federal government?
Well, people out there, I can't say much, but to the government, I think, the palliative idea is cool, it's all right, but there are better ways you could do certain things. Like we said, for households, they could try to spread the bills post-COVID-19 lockdown. For businesses, I have a business that the rent is still running as we speak. the palliatives don't get down to us. Yes, you're talking about loans, but how many of us can actually access the loan? So there are so many things other civilized nations are doing. The landlords are being cajoled to not collect rent this period. There are tax holidays and so many things because, yes, I might not be able to continue making money this period, but you shouldn't make it you should try to reduce the impact on me. So whatever you can do on your own end, we don't need money. How much money can you give me as palliative that will make me relax for 2 months? So really reduce the tax, reduce the rent, whatever you can do. The landlord should be giving incentives on the other hand so that we wouldn't feel the impact too much. I mean, there's so much more that the government can do.
Okay, to your viewers, who solely depend on electricity supply?
As I said earlier, I don't think our viewers depend on electricity from the government alone. Everybody has their own source. It's just that it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive and somebody has to bear the cost. So that's it. I really don't know what else to say about that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tanko Dede, for coming on TV in Business. It's good to have you. All right, that's the much we have for you today on TV in Business today. I am Chirandu Osisi. Don't forget that you can follow us on all our social media platforms on Facebook, YouTube, and of course on Twitter at Television Nigerian. Do have a wonderful day.